looking at a lot of this being on the roads in the morning. I want to show you the model forecast going forward. And so again, as I mentioned, all of this is going to be clearing the coast going into 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning. And so things are really going to be improving, at least in terms of what is falling by 4 to 5 to 6 o'clock in the morning. But it's still going to be really cold at this time. And so that's why the roads are going to be a mess. Not just tonight, colleague, but also going into tomorrow morning as well. And we're going to talk more about that in just a second. Here's Colin.
The biggest snowstorm of the season is underway here in the Tidewater, Virginia. As you can see, it's windy, it is cold. Temperatures have been running in the upper 20s all day long. Average high is 50, and the wind chills are running 10 to 15. The snow is fine and powdery, but it will add up slowly but surely. And before it wraps up before sunrise Saturday morning, we're looking at 3 to 5 inches of snow. Take a look at the roads. The plows have been out. They've dumped a lot of salt on the roadways here in the Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Hampton Roads area. They also pre-treated the roads before the sit today with brine, but the plows are not going to be able to scrape much until we get about 2 inches on the ground, but they certainly have done their best at getting the roads treated and salted this evening. As far as roadways go in the morning, watch out because temperatures tomorrow will not rise very much. We're expecting some sun in the afternoon with a high of 34, so we'll get some melting. That'll help out. But tomorrow night and Sunday morning, we do the old refreeze thing again. Sunday morning's low here in Norfolk, down around 20. Better day at the airport tomorrow. Today we had over 50 flights canceled. So far, Norfolk International, 16 departures canceled and 2 arrivals. And most of those departures are the flights that were scheduled tomorrow morning. I'm meteorologist Mike Seidel, the Weather Channel in Norfolk, Virginia.
All right, Mike, thank you. And again, on the radar tonight, we're seeing some lingering snow across much of North and South Carolina, and it's in those coastal areas where we're finding problems with freezing rain tonight. There you see the back edge of this moving away from central Georgia. We had a little bit of snow in eastern Georgia tonight. Freezing rain continuing in Charleston at this hour. We're getting up to about 1/10 of an inch of ice accumulation, as much as about 0.15 there into eastern parts of North Carolina, still getting freezing rain in Wilmington at this hour, snow in Raleigh, snow in Fayetteville, and then you've got light snow up into Tidewater, Virginia. So all this is going to begin to move out. You see it as mostly clear of the coast by the time we get into 4 o'clock in the morning or so. So it's really going to wind down in the next few hours, but it still will be very cold yet. The additional snowfall on top of the 1 to 3 that we've had on either side of 95, probably about 1 to 3 additional in eastern North Carolina. So there could be some spots that end up with as much as 6 inches. And looking at the ice to come, it's going to be a glaze going forward. But, again, this is also on top of what we've seen already. So there may be some spots that see a total of 1/4 of an inch of ice accumulation. Colleen?
Oh, and that's dangerous. You just want the snow. I mean, snow can cause problems too, but it's great when you see the snow and not the ice. Well, the Weather Channel's Justin Michaels spent the evening watching the snow come down in Raleigh, North Carolina. He filed this report.
Raleigh, North Carolina is certainly in the throes of Winter Storm Jasper tonight. It's going to last probably all night long, as a matter of fact. It's one of those nights where you really do just want to stay inside. And at this late hour, if you're not home, use extreme caution to get home because the snow is going to last several more hours. We know it's icing off to the east. It's a very, very snow here in Raleigh, North Carolina, and the expectation is we're probably going to see 2 to 4 inches of snow when it's all said and done. Looking up Fayetteville Street, you can see cars are taking it easy. That's a good thing to be doing. And as you look all the way down Fayetteville, you can see the North Carolina State Capitol way down there, shrouded in the snow right now. But I can promise you, on this very street earlier today, a lot of work went in to try to keep it as clear as possible. Take a look right now at some video we shot earlier today of crews here from the city of Raleigh doing the good work of trying to pre-treat, get that ice melt down, get that salt down, really do what they can to pre-treat the roads and sidewalks. But back here in Raleigh, you can see that it was a little bit fruitless because the snow has really overtaken all the hard work they put into it. That is to be expected. This again is a southern city. It's Raleigh, North Carolina. So plows are far and few between. So really the best thing you can do tonight is stay indoors. We do know Duke Energy has crews pre-positioned all over North Carolina if power outages are a problem. So make sure you are using caution if your power does go out. Remember, space heaters away from curtains and blinds. Also use that generator outside, as far away from the house as possible, to power the things you need to power, and you'll be able to make it through just fine. In Raleigh, North Carolina, Justin Michaels, the Weather Channel.
And here's video from the New Bern, North Carolina area. Roads just a mess tonight. Ice covering them, leading to many accidents. Officials asking people to please stay home. You don't need to be out. Just have that date with your couch tonight. Unless it's an emergency, the road's going to be really difficult overnight, and especially into tomorrow morning as those temperatures are staying well below freezing, and we still have some more freezing rain and snow for these areas in the Carolinas. And of course, already many ice reports, freezing rain, a glaze in some spots. Again, anywhere from Columbia as you travel down through Orangeburg as well as into Charleston, we've had reports of either a glaze of ice on the trees, the railings, the elevated surfaces. We've had reports of bridges closed in around areas of South Carolina and North Carolina. Morehead City, they've had 1/10 of an inch of ice in and around the area. That was a train spotter, as well as in Wrightsboro, just down to the south, looking at a bridge closed due to the ice. So again, a very dangerous situation, as Carl mentioned. Some areas could see, when it's all said and done, 1/4 of an inch of ice. And so that can cause damage not just to the trees, also dangerous roadways, but also knock out the power. And we have seen that in areas as we are watching those numbers unfortunately rise with customers without power tonight. Now, as we track Winter Storm Jasper overnight into your Saturday morning, the precipitation is slowly going to come to an end. So by about 4 or 5 o'clock, much of this is going to be gone across the coastline. And so what we're going to be left with is the ice that's accumulated as well as the snow into the interior areas. So by tomorrow morning, temperatures still below freezing. We'll still have some residual problems, and then we'll slowly rise above freezing as we head through the afternoon. Now, you would say, hey, oh, that's great. Okay, the sun's going to come back out a little bit. We'll have those warmer temperatures. Unfortunately, though, that does mean that when we go back through for the evening hours and those temperatures continue to cool off again, it's actually be colder tomorrow night than what we're seeing right now. So any melting is going to refreeze. Now, as we talk about through tomorrow morning, here are the areas: Charleston, Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, all the way up through New Bern. That's we could still see a little bit of a glaze with those ice amounts that are going to be additional for those areas. And these spots, funny enough, you may say, hey, we're talking about the coast of the Carolinas and ice. They actually saw another ice storm just about 3 or 4 years ago. So if you go back to 2018, actually in January, they saw their last ice storm. And then areas like Wilmington and then some of the interior areas around Florence, they actually had some ice last weekend, just this past Sunday. So imagine that, 2 ice storms in 1 week. Alrighty, the South Carolina coast also facing the threat of damaging ice, as we just saw. Weather Channel meteorologist Felicia Collins is in Myrtle Beach tonight, where an ice storm warning is in effect.
Another weekend and another Winter Storm Jasper this time, bringing the threat to places like Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And we're seeing that as we head through the overnight hours. Ice is the main threat here. An ice storm warning in effect through Saturday morning, and for good reason. We're here at Broadway at the beach on a boardwalk, which is an elevated surface. So we are seeing already kind of this glazing of ice. What do you notice about this? It looks like it's just wet, right? No, that is actually ice, and that's the problem with ice on the roadways as well. That leads to huge problems. Now, your typical roadways, they are going to freeze with temperatures at or below freezing and the rain coming down, but elevated surfaces, just to show you, like this bridge that we're on at Broadway, it's an elevated surface up over the lake, and let me tell you, it is already a solid sheet of ice. We used extreme caution kind of walking up here to where we are, because it's a big difference between this bridge and the areas that are on solid ground. They're not cooling nearly as fast, so it is treacherous out there on the roads tonight and into Saturday morning until those temperatures warm up above freezing, which won't happen until around noon. The best bet is to just stay home. Back to you.
And it was crazy. Earlier, Felicia was showing ice on the palm trees in Myrtle Beach. Wow, just not something you see. Here's a look at snow that hit interior portions of North Carolina tonight. This was from the Raleigh area, where we saw Justin Michaels reporting live from there earlier. most snow for the Triangle region right here, but of course still dangerous conditions, especially as you're waking up tomorrow morning. Temperatures are going to be staying below freezing. So let's talk about the timing for the Raleigh-Durham area, because of course the snow coming down, Justin was showing us kind of the texture of the snow. It's very icy, very powdery, not the best packing snow, but unfortunately it does make it still very dangerous on the roadways out there. Temperatures are going to be in the 20s. It is going to be cold in Raleigh overnight tonight. You can see the snow still falling and then coming to an end as we head into about 5 o'clock in the morning. So the precipitation comes to an end, but of course, when it's all said and done, you could be picking up around 2 to 4 inches of snow in and around Raleigh-Durham, also getting into the Chapel Hill area. So this is snow still to come. So we've already measured an inch or two in some areas, and then you can see an additional 1 to 2 inches as we go through the overnight time frame. Here's a look through tomorrow morning. Temperatures stay in the 20s. The winds, at least, are fairly light as we're into the interior areas of North Carolina. We saw the wind really picking up across the coastline. So again, you add that in, and the wind chill making it feel much, much colder outside. But at least in some areas, the wind's not going to be as much of a factor, and then the sun for you, Raleigh, is going to be breaking out by morning time. Now, speaking of the coastline, if we go to the Tidewater area as we go into Virginia, we've seen the winds really picking up in this region. The snow also picking up in a pretty good clip overnight. So we'll have that through about 4 or 5 o'clock with some additional totals in and around the Norfolk area, as well as getting into Richmond, Virginia. So certainly a winter wonderland. Snow still to come, around 1 to 2 inches, especially across the coastline. And then again, it's going to be cold. We got temperatures in the 20s, and you factor in the wind, it feels like the teens. The wind certainly out of the north there around 15 to 20 miles per hour. And then as the snow comes in, we'll just be left with a few clouds in the morning, and then slowly the sun coming out across the coastline. So at least it'll look a little prettier outside, but then we could be talking about another refreeze by tomorrow night. More on Winter Storm Jasper right after this.